Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Marvel Studios Echo. All episodes streaming January 9th, only on Hulu and Disney+. Rated TV MALV. Viewer discretion advised. Maya Lopez has betrayed her mentor, the notorious Kingpin. Now on the run, she returns to her hometown to prepare for the biggest fight of her life. Don't miss Marvel Studios' hardest-hitting series yet. An epic 5-episode event. Marvel Studios Echo. All episodes streaming January 9th, only on Hulu and Disney+.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all, it's Thirsty Thursday.
Oh, hey! So glad to be back. We've missed you so much.
We get so excited for Thursdays, and I hope that you do too. If you're watching us on YouTube, check out what we're drinking out of. It is our official signature. Are they signature?
Oh, yeah.
Bloody Happy Hour mug and stemless glass. And of course, the back of it says always be DTF.
Yeah, so whoever it was that wrote that beautiful review, that glowing review.
We appreciate the review.
Oh, yeah. I posted it.
However, DTF.
We just need to tell you what DTF means, because I don't think you know.
Just in case, it means always be down to find.
Find the murderer.
Down to investigate.
Yeah. I mean.
And then after a couple drinks, you can be the other DTF.
You know, it's whatever. It's kind of a double entendre. Play on words.
Oh.
Is that right?
I thought that was a song.
I mean,
double
it might be.
Entendre. Double.
I don't know what you're listening to, but yeah, so we've got some of those reviews. And I hope y'all liked our quickie.
Yes.
Caroline's
going to keep you in the news.
Yeah, I'm going to keep you all in the news. So if you haven't checked our Instagram or Facebook story, you need to just keep looking at it, because I'm trying to just continue to post updates about anything, any cases that are happening.
She's got it. She's got it down.
I kind of doing really good at it.
She's a pro.
I am a pro. Oh, by the way, I know this is old news by now, but they still haven't had her funeral yet because you got to wait 10 days. But the Queen.
Oh, yes.
The Queen has died.
What do you mean still haven't had the funeral? They just said it today.
Well, they have to wait 10 days.
Oh, you're saying by the time they hear this.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it.
But I just want to tell y'all, she's already been dead for about 1 to 2 years. If you didn't know that, welcome to Conspiracy Theory Corner. Because I'm here for all of it.
Wow.
She kept trying to get out of her skin suit. David Icke is going to be out there probably writing a whole nother book.
I remember him. He
Reptilians, skin suits.
I remember.
He said all the royals are. That's probably why Meghan Markle doesn't get along with him, because she's a reptilian and she doesn't wear a skin suit. And they are like.
There is some Netflix. Have you seen? There's a advertising of some movie coming out, and it's basically a king or a prince that's marrying she looks like Meghan Markle, and then they sit at the dinner table and they like butcher and eat people. They're like cannibals, and they got her trapped. So I thought it was going to be a movie about Meghan and the prince, but it went to a whole nother conspiracy theory reptilians, cannibalism, entrapment level. But I didn't watch it. I just saw
Conspiracy Month.
Conspiracy Month. I'm already a little paranoid. My. Let's read these 2 reviews.
Okay.
And then we're going to hop right into it. We're going to, in honor of NFL football
First of
starting.
all, I need you to tell everybody what's the update with the liquor store lady.
I went.
Cheryl is very concerned.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so I went today. I was like, people have been asking me about this liquor store
You did
lady, and I
not
feel
know
horrible that I
your
didn't follow up. Oh my God. So I pull up to the drive-thru, and the window opens up, and it's a different lady.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh my God.
No.
I said, where's the other lady that's always here?
What did they say? What did they say? She's in the hospital.
I was like, where is she? And she goes, oh, so-and-so. I already forgot the name. She's over there. She was just sitting at the in a chair, but she was taking a load off because she hadn't been feeling good. And I was like, hey, did the Popos come by here a couple weeks ago?
No.
And the lady was like, I've been waiting to see you. Thank you for that. I'm fine. I think I was just stressed and I was doing too much. So he came in, and she had called the lady that was there to come and take her spot because she had to go home. And I was like, well, I didn't know if you were like about to pass out or if that other guy in there was holding you hostage. So she was thinking me.
Oh,
so
wow.
She's alive. She's well. She wasn't feeling good. I don't know what's wrong with her. Maybe she went to doctor. I don't know.
But she really needed that. Sounds like.
I guess.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. That's
so not as juicy as.
I mean, that's pretty good. It's a good ending. And she wasn't like, you bitch, why'd you call the cops on me? I'm over here doing a drug deal and like.
I know.
So you did a good job.
Okay. What review do you want to read?
I'll read the first one. DTF.
Okay.
Hey, I just found your podcast. I love it, except for one thing. It drives me crazy and makes y'all sound like amateurs. Ease up on the DTF. It's not classy and it's rude. I don't know what.
My goal in life is to not be classy.
I mean, I'm trying to keep it classy, but this is why we had to remind her that it means down to fine.
Yeah. So, people who tune in to like 1 episode or 2 episodes, they may not know that. So maybe it's just a reminder that we say DTF down to find. I don't know. Or maybe they should just keep listening and they'll get a clue.
Exactly.
Thank you for that, JKM.
Oh, I know who that is.
So this one is titled My Fave. It has 5 stars and it's from MK Amy. As a fan of true crime, I love that y'all give all of the backstory of each case. You make me laugh out loud, and it's my favorite thing to do to listen to when I'm traveling. Y'all have amazing chemistry. So proud of your awesome podcast and great success. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Thank
Yay.
you, MK Amy. All right, we need some more to read, so keep sending them.
Yeah, I know a couple people. Actually, somebody messaged me the other day they wrote one. It hasn't come through yet, but some people are like, I just don't know what to write.
Write anything.
Right, just put a thumb.
Do you know the DTF person?
No, I was lying.
Oh, okay.
I was joking.
Okay, I don't either.
Nobody got my joke, so guess it wasn't funny.
Can we go to NFL?
Today's the first day.
Is that why you got on an NFL shirt?
Yes, I don't even know where I got the shirt.
What's the C? Chicago?
Yeah, I don't even know literally
Bears?
where. I had a Bills shirt, but I don't know where that went.
You
and
have
I found
all the wrong shirts.
I know. Somebody please get me a NFL shirt that's good. I mean, this one is a C for Caroline.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's acceptable. But
Got
it is for the Bears. I don't even know who's on the Bears. But anyway, NFL is started. I'm so pumped.
Tonight's first night?
Yes.
Okay, so we're recording on...
The first night of the first game.
Yes.
And it's the Bills.
Well, we're not talking about the Bills today.
I know. Okay. Who are we talking about? I'm ready to go to the NFL.
Let's talk about the murder of Steve the Air McNair.
I don't even know about it.
Good.
I mean, I think I looked it up once, but...
When I went there. So we're going to...
Dang it. I have one side note.
What?
Okay. Keep going. Never mind. Squirrel.
Okay. So Stephen McNair was actually born Stephen Latrell McNair. He was from a small town in Mississippi called Mount Olive. He had a bunch of brothers, like 4 of them, and he had a single mom. They lived in a little bitty like house with a tin roof, so really poor. He played all the sports in high school, won a championship in high school, and was named All-American. He was a playboy even back in high school, and that's going to play into the story
What a shocker.
for today. So he had a girlfriend named Cotina Fazell, who actually has his first kid by in high school, and that is Stephen McNair Jr. But Cotina later says that she just knew like they were never exclusive. She was like the main girlfriend, but he already always had his side pieces.
Kind of like OJ's first wife, and they had their kids.
Yeah.
And she basically was like, I know what you're about, but I'm going to let it go.
Yeah.
Until...
I guess you're worth it right now. So he just loved women, and he just couldn't limit himself to just one.
No.
After high school, he received a lot of scholarship offers from big Power 5 schools like Florida University, Ohio State, Ole Miss, but they wanted him to play like DB or safety, but he was a quarterback.
Oh.
And he wanted to play quarterback, and he wasn't going to go to a school to play a position that he didn't want to play. And back then, well, and kind of still now, it just wasn't very common for these big schools to have black quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Right? It was just a
typical tall, slender white guy.
Yeah. You know, a lot of the coaches think that the black athletes aren't smart enough to be a quarterback.
Oh.
Like it takes quick thinking.
I mean, Vince Young was he that smart?
I don't know.
He's
a great quarterback, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So
just to remember like the plays and everything. Like I don't know. I've never been a quarterback.
And being quick on your feet, and like so they'd rather put the black athletes in probably every other position, basically.
Oh, so the black athletes can't be smart?
That was the yeah.
Okay.
That was the reason. The other reason is black athletes take up every position on the field in the NFL, just about, except for the O-line and the quarterback. So a lot of the coaches are like, well, let me just at least have some white kids on the team, and the kicker maybe.
Oh, the kicker's definitely always white.
So he was like, I'm not going to play this game. I want to be a quarterback, and I want to be one of the best quarterbacks ever. Instead of going to one of these Power 5 schools, he goes to Alcorn State University, which is this small D1, but it's a AA, and it's a HBCU in Mississippi. They wanted him to play quarterback. He was going to stay in Mississippi, and he got there and he killed it. He got the Walter Payton Award. He was a Heisman Trophy candidate during his college years, and his stats were off the chart. I'm not going to go into the stats because this isn't a sports podcast, and I really don't know what it means. What it means.
Yeah,
but he killed it. And then he had another kid, broke up with Katina, got another girl. Her name was Sheila, and her last name was already McNair. Real weird. And they're from Mississippi. And so they had another kid named Stephen O'Brien McNair. So he has 2 kids, both Stephen.
Why would you do that?
Ask George Foreman. He did the same thing. He had like 7 boys, and they're all George.
Are you...
How can you just pick one kid to be the junior and not the other?
This is how Dirty Chad
Steve Jr.
confused me and tricked me out of a lot of stuff because he is the same name as one of his relatives.
Oh, yeah.
And he tricked me on a bunch of stuff because it was really his relative.
So you think nobody should ever be named after
No,
anybody?
you don't need to be a junior and have the exact same name. It's too confusing.
It's too confusing. Well, he's got two.
Okay.
In 1995, so he's graduated high school. He was the 3rd overall draft pick, and he was drafted by the Houston Oilers. Remember them?
Yes.
Head coach was Jeff Fisher, and he got a 7-year deal and was the highest drafted black quarterback in NFL history at that time.
Speaking of these sports stories, you know, Manti Te'o, right?
Yeah.
He was on that Untold series.
We talked about it last week.
Right. Well, I did hear a rumor that they're going to do an Untold series over Johnny Manziel.
It should. I did watch the Bruce Jenner one too.
You mean Caitlyn?
Caitlyn Jenner one.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Okay, so now he's in with the Houston Oilers. He's in the NFL, and he told his was his good friend, but later becomes his agent, that the first check that he gets, he's gonna build his mom a house.
That's what they always do.
Yeah, and he didn't care what kind of house she wanted. He's gonna build her the house of her dreams.
That's why I need an athlete.
So he bought her 600 acres and built her a big, amazing house in Mississippi. And when it was like a surprise. And so when he showed her the house, she cried because she used to pick cotton on that land. They grew up real poor. Her family was like sharecroppers. Oh my gosh. So she picked cotton on the land, and now they owned it. So that was
my stepmom,
a big memory
Dee
for him.
always picked cotton too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
she got really
after
good
slavery. I think everybody did. If you were poor,
because I mean, there was a bunch of kids, and they're like, get out there and pick this cotton because they lived on a farm,
making some money.
Yeah.
So Steve's mom was his world, and probably the only woman he was ever loyal to, ever.
Was her name also Steve?
Her name was Lucille.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
In 1997, he met Michelle, and she became his wife, and they had 2 more boys named Trenton and Tyler. So Michelle was like,
she's like, no, we're not doing Steve.
She agrees with you.
We're not doing 2 more Steves. What? Or Steven or Stefan.
No play on Steve. Jeez. Nothing with the S.
Good. They went for the T's. I'm okay with it.
So we got Trenton and Tyler.
Okay, so he has 4 kids.
4 total. And now it's 1999, and the Houston Oilers are no longer. And they become the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans.
The Houston Oilers changed to Tennessee?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, did you learn something?
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, they moved to Nashville.
I just assumed they would have been.
That came way later.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting. Houston was like, we used to have a team, we don't have one anymore, let's make up a team. I actually was a big fan. I don't watch the NFL now, but I used to watch it in the 90s and the 2000s, so this brought up a lot of memories for me.
I like Ryan Tannehill, and I like their colors. That's why I like the team.
Tennessee?
Yep.
Okay, so his first year, they went to the Super Bowl. And this is a Super Bowl game that will always go down in history and be remembered. They played against the Rams, against Kurt Warner. I think it was Kurt Warner's first Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. There's some documentary out about Kurt Warner right now and his story. But they lost by like 1/10 of a yard or something like that.
Oh, no.
Yes. But after that, because they had such a great season, they signed him to a new 6-year contract for $47 million.
Not too bad.
Not too shabby at all. He killed it for the Titans, played for the Titans until 2005. And after an injury and just some drama, he played for the Baltimore Ravens. And was there for a couple seasons.
Yeah.
Did really good there. Took them to some playoff runs. And then in April of 2008, after 13 seasons in the NFL, he retired.
And a lot of CTE. Wait, he was quarterback his whole time.
This whole time, he
So you shouldn't have like
broke records. He still has records that are set. He broke Warren Moon. Do you know that name?
no, never heard of it. I've actually never heard of that.
So he spent his time between. So now he's retired, and he's got a house in Mississippi, and he's got a house in Nashville where he lives because he retires to Nashville. And he spent his time at the ranch in Mississippi that he bought for his mom because he had like cattle and a tank where he'd go fishing.
Yeah.
And he loved living that farmer life down there. He also opened up a restaurant called the Gridiron 9 in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
And he was going to try this out, and he was going to open up a chain if it was successful. So he was just really trying to find his life after football. His whole life has been football. And you're in Nashville, and let me tell you, remember when I got back, I was like, Nashville, Las Vegas don't have anything on Nashville. Bourbon Street don't have anything on Nashville. So when you're in Nashville, you have lots of fun. And that's what he was doing. He was drinking, he was partying, and he just didn't have to be as disciplined anymore because he didn't have to get up and go to practice and workouts. And so he's living his best life.
Yeah, he is.
Free, drinking.
But isn't he married
Ton
right
of
now?
money. He's still married. But he was, he's NFL. It's like, why are you even shocked? Why are we even like shocked that he has an affair? So he finds a girl.
Oh, yeah.
At
But why do they always keep getting married?
It's just security.
Well,
It's just what you do.
I'm available.
For either one, the wife or the side piece.
I'm trying to get some security, some paychecks. I don't know.
She's available. Either one. She'll fill any of those. So it's known now that Steve McNair was unfaithful to his wife, Michelle. And towards the end, we know that he was asking her for a divorce, but she would not give him one.
Okay, why? I don't know why.
He gets a condo in downtown Nashville. Him and a friend named Wade.
Even though he's still married.
Even though he's married, he gets like, this is his stabbing cabin, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like where NFL players,
Drugs.
all of them,
Yeah.
the people had keys and they would just take their women. No drugs. There was nothing about drugs in there, but there was women and there was alcohol. And I was really surprised that nothing about weed. Like he didn't get high and smoke weed and do anything. And it was like he fell into every NFL athlete stereotype, but that one. Michelle moved her mom in, and he wanted his privacy, so he said that's why he got his condo. But really, he got it for side pieces.
Yeah.
It was in his friend's name, but he made the payments on it. And it's downtown Nashville. And when I went to Nashville, that's where I went. So that's going to be the scene of the crime. He would frequent Dave and Buster's a lot. I guess it was new back then.
Oh, yeah.
And there's where he met a girl named Sahel Jenni Kazemi.
Okay. You're obviously a stripper.
And Iranian
stripper.
Yeah. Excuse me. She's a waitress at Dave and Buster's. She was young. She was beautiful. She was petite. Okay, so Steve would frequent Dave and Buster's. That's where he met the girl. He was 36 years old and she was 20 years old.
Oh, gosh.
And so they started off as a fling, right? But then it got a little bit more serious. He started taking her in public, and they started going on vacations. He wined her and dined her. And according to her family, they were talking about living together soon. On her birthday, he surprised her with a Cadillac Escalade.
Oh.
And he gave her money, just like thousands of dollars, like when she needed it to help her like pay the bills.
Gosh, living her best life.
And she's 20. Like, she's loving it. They went on vacation at Key West, and TMZ got a hold of some pictures, and these pictures, of course, went viral. And
I mean, obviously tipped off. You obviously always tip off the paparazzi.
I guess so.
I've come to learn this.
But his friend said that he wasn't hiding this anymore. He was going in public. He was going around.
That's
his
why he
friends
tipped off the
and her
paparazzi.
family.
Because he wanted his wife to see, so his wife was given a divorce.
Yeah, she still didn't.
Nope.
So Jenni's NFL life was great for a while. It was probably like a 6-month type thing.
Yeah.
But things started to go downhill pretty quickly. So her roommate, she had a roommate. Her roommate moved out, and Jenni was now responsible for her full rent, which was $1,000, and that's a lot of money. Now is a lot of money back then too. Stephen McNair actually did not buy her a car. He just paid for the down payment. And turns out she's got to pay for the payment, which is like an $800 payment. Bitch works at Dave and Buster's. So maybe it wasn't a gift. She just felt like she was in a bad spot because
he broke up with her?
They weren't broke up.
He just stopped giving her money.
He was still kind of giving her money here and there, but she was realizing that she was living beyond her means. And then she was realizing, and her friends were like, you need to quit, because she was going to work less because he was paying her. And their friends were like, this may not last forever. You need to be going to work. You need to live a life that you can pay for if he goes away. Right? They're speaking the truth to her.
Yeah.
Well, and then she sees another girl leaving Steve's condo one day.
Another one.
Yes. This girl's name is Leah. She followed Leah around town a couple times just to see who she was, but she never confronted her. Another time she went to Steve's condo and she found a used tampon and a used condom in the trash can.
Well, that's an interesting combination.
You pull one out?
Don't you flush a tampon?
I guess so, maybe not. So the girl who left it, whoever left it, was being shady.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So she ends up telling her friends that she knows Steve is cheating.
Well, at least use a condom.
That's what I was like, hey.
But, I mean, he already has 4 kids.
job.
I guess he doesn't want any more.
Right.
I don't know. But if I was that girl, the 20-year-old, I would have been, like, doing the whole Drake thing.
What is that?
Poke a hole in it and then take it out the trash can or something. I don't know what they did. Poked a hole in it before it was open, or
just
took
when
it out
you
the trash
almost
can.
get a date, you ruin it.
I wouldn't really do that, but it's so funny that people actually do that.
I know.
Poke a hole in it or take it out the trash can, and then what do you take out the trash can and slurp it up in there? What? You just rub it around?
Hey, I don't know. Ask Tristan Thompson's baby mama. It's probably So Jenni's like, he's cheating and I'm probably going to end it. Those were her words. Now it's July 2nd, still 2009. He's only been retired for maybe a year, a little over a year. And they were driving down Broadway Street in her Escalade. Broadway Street's like Bourbon Street.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve was in the passenger seat. She was driving. She got pulled over for drunk driving. And he was able to sneak out because he wasn't drinking. Somebody came and picked him up and he left because he didn't want that. He had already gotten in trouble.
Left her.
Yes. And he had already gotten in trouble for DUI before, but he wasn't driving. He was a passenger, but some kind of Tennessee law. So he was like, I don't need this in my life again. So she went to jail. And the police later say that this was her bottom, is going to jail for that DWI.
Oh, yeah.
Steve went and bailed her out when she was able to get out.
Class act.
And instead of going back to his condo with her,
oh, no.
Stevie boy goes to the piece and kind of drops her off and goes to the new side piece's house, goes to Leah's house, and he spends the night with her that night.
Oh, no.
I know. So the police are saying that, like, she's pissed. She's pissed. Her man's about to go to another woman, so that also means her money is about to go for another woman, and maybe she's getting a little desperate.
Maybe she should be like, can we have a threesome?
She should have been the
and
other
is he
DTF.
Still married, by the way?
He is still
married to Michelle.
Michelle's
Michelle is
still at
just
home
like,
with all the kids.
I'm getting a check. Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
She's like, as long as you don't mess with my money.
Mm-hmm.
So now, later, it's July 3rd. So we were July 2nd. It's just the next day. Jenni decides to go to work. She's finally going back to
she finally go to David Buster's. They're like, okay, bitch, come back.
And the boss said that she took an extra long lunch that day and that she wasn't her usual upbeat self.
Oh, well. At least she didn't get fired after getting a DUI or going to jail. But
it's Dave & Buster's.
I mean,
do they even care? So she left work that night at 10:07 p.m. She was never seen after that.
Oh.
On July 3rd, when Jenni was at work, Steve leaves Leah's apartment early that morning, and he's going to his restaurant to open it up and get ready for the day.
Mm-hmm.
He spent a lot of time at his restaurant. So this is what we know. July 3rd, Jenni gets off at 10:07, and at 10:23, she texted Steve. She said, "Do you want to get out and drink?" Steve's response was at 10:35, and he said, "Probably not, baby. Having trouble getting the kids to sleep." 10:35. At 10:45, she responds, "K, but I'm going to the condo in a minute." Steve at 10:59, "K." That's it. Don't that piss you off the most?
Is the worst.
That's the worst. That probably was the boiling point right there. And Jenni, later on, Jenni says it's open. So I guess she's in the condo and the door's open, which it's his. Why are you leaving his door unlocked for him?
Yeah.
This would be the last message that Steve McNair would ever receive, because according to the police report, Jenni shot Steve in his left temple while he was sleeping on the couch, passed out on the couch, and 2 more times in the chest before she turned the gun onto herself. She positioned herself on the couch so that she would fall in his lap. So this is July 3rd. This is like the morning of July 3rd going into July 4th.
Oh, happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day. On July 4th at 1 o'clock, Wayne Neely arrived at the condo, which this is the guy who shares the condo with Steve. He says he went there because he saw Steve's vehicle there, and he had been trying to call Steve because he wanted to talk to Steve about coming to a Little League game for some little local kids, a little league football game. So he said when he got there that he saw Steve on the couch, and Jenni, who's actually on the floor now, he thought that they were passed out, sleep at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on 4th of July. Which maybe this is a party house. Maybe that's how it's been. I don't know. So he just stepped over them and went to the fridge and opened up a beer.
Stepped over them.
Walked past them. I just added my
Okay.
That's how I pictured it. And he got a beer and he drank a beer, and he said, as he's going in the kitchen, he's drinking a beer.
Say,
He
"Hey,
looked in the
Steve."
wall and he saw 2 bullet shots, like bullet holes in the wall casings. Then when he looked back, he saw that they were dead.
Oh, and and this was around 10 that she shot? 10 p.m.?
The police will later say it was 2 a.m.
Okay. But so then they've been dead for
hours.
Because
it's
and
1
there's no
o'clock the
smell?
next day. I don't know how quickly it goes. I don't know.
Well,
Sketch to me.
yeah.
But, when he notices they're dead, he does not call the police. He calls Steve's good friend, Robert Gaddy. And when he calls from inside his car. So he leaves out of the house, he goes in his car, he calls Gaddy, he tells Gaddy what's wrong.
Was he acting so suspicious?
Gaddy comes, and he finally calls 911. But this is 45 minutes later from the time that Wayne,
there had to be drugs in there
house,
then. That's why they had to wait and clean out the drugs.
Gets to the house, and he sees them, he calls Gaddy. Gaddy doesn't call until closer to 2 o'clock. So you guys can go and listen to the 911 call. It's real sketchy. When he does call, he does not even say who it is. He just says a man has been shot. And he acts like he don't know where he is. I don't know the address. Oh, let me look. He just doesn't say anything. And it sounds like he is scared to answer their questions, like he's getting approval from somebody else. It's real weird. Go and listen to it. It's kind of long, so I didn't want to play it. But over the next 4 days, police did a little bit of investigation.
Okay.
And after their investigation, they ruled it a murder-suicide. Right? I mean,
yeah,
it matched up to what the scene looks like.
Mm-hmm.
She had GSR on her left hand. He was a womanizer. It was very public that he has an affair and that was his side piece. She was wearing a lingerie, like pink lingerie. And it looked like she was trying to set it up like poetic, like.
Okay.
And then she has a reason to be a scorned, jealous side piece because he had another side piece.
Yeah.
And the other part is she's Iranian, right? And then here goes the stereotype for jealousy and possessiveness. If I can't have you, nobody can have you. And then they found out that her father killed her mother in front of her in an apparent murder-suicide when she was little in Iran.
What?
So they were like, case closed, murder-suicide.
Okay, but who had the gun?
Sorry about your bad luck. Let's take a break. We'll figure that out when we get back.
Okay, bye.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Hi, this is Sarah.
And I'm Carter.
And this is Some of Our Thoughts.
We're two Southern sommeliers, and we want to share everything we love and know about wine. We started hanging out during quarantine and cooking and drinking and listening to music, and we just thought this would be a great way to bring everything we know to you guys.
We will make wine knowledge and food pairings easy and approachable. So put on your favorite vinyl, grab your favorite glass of wine, tune into our show, and let's have some fun.
Wine and vinyl. So check us out on roguemedianetwork.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. We'll be talking about a lot.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.
Okay. So, case was closed. It was ruled a murder-suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one investigator named Vincent Cook that he just wasn't convinced. As soon as he found out that Steve McNair only had $7 left in his wallet, his jewelry was missing, and the safe was missing, he knew that there was something sketchy.
Yeah.
His safe that Steve kept there after he interviewed like friends and family, and the safe contained large amounts of money, and he just kept it there in the event he needed it. But the fact that he has $6 on him, he always had bands.
Oh, yeah.
If he had less than $3,000, he thought he was broke. And then he wouldn't keep small bills. So they said that like they'd go to the store and he'd give whoever a $100 bill to go in and get something to drink and come back out, and they'd give him his change, and he would be like, I don't deal with that change. Keep that change. I don't deal with little bills.
I knew that life.
So that was a red flag for Mr. Vincent Cook. Now, it also came back after his after the investigation was done at the apartment that he had a blood alcohol level double the legal limit.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he told Jenni that he was putting the kids to bed, so that's why he couldn't go out for a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he was already out.
Clearly.
But we don't know who he was out with, but he was clearly drinking with somebody. We don't know who. They still don't know who. His high school girlfriend, Kotel Fazell, who was the baby mama, she was like, I don't believe that Jenni, 5'5", 110 pounds, could overpower Steve. And these are like professional shots. Does she even know how to shoot a gun? So according to her family, she doesn't even like to cut things and won't even handle a gun. So it seemed very skeptical to a lot of the family is that she even had a gun. So then they were like, well, where did this gun come from?
Yeah.
We're going to go there. And so then they were like, I don't believe that Jenni did it. I think we need to reopen the case. And then people were like, why did Wayne Neely and Robert Gaddy, the two first people on the scene, why would they wait 45 minutes before calling 911?
Good question.
And why isn't the Nashville PD not concerned about the missing money, jewelry, and safe? Like, why are they just dismissing that part of the murder suicide.
Are these other guys currently football players, or they're also retired, or they're?
Robert Gaddy played arena ball.
Okay.
And Wade Neely was just a friend. I don't know that he was a football player.
Groupie. Okay.
Yeah. So they were just like, there's too many questions. Why's the case closed? So Vincent Cook, who did not believe Jenni did it, the investigator, he became so obsessed that he actually quit the force because he only wanted to work on this case, and he dove into this case.
Yeah.
Full time, and that was his lifelong mission. In the meantime, the funeral's got to happen, right? Because he's passed away, and he is a big person in Tennessee. And they have it in Mississippi, and people like Jeff Fisher, who was his head coach, Eddie George, who was his running back, Ray Lewis, Vince Young, Brett Favre, they all got up and they spoke about how much they respected him and how much he gave to the community. He had all these outreaches and just how genuine he was. Especially because the thing that's in the news right now is all his side pieces. And so people will judge him just based on that, you know? So they got up there and they talked about him. But some things came up after the funeral that might raise an eyebrow or a reasonable doubt. So let's kind of go through like certain scenarios that his family and this investigator think could have happened and not the story that we have heard, that we've been told.
Okay.
All right. So Adrian Gilliam. This is who the police tracked the gun back to. It's a guy named Adrian Gilliam. He was a local car salesman. I haven't said his name, so you're not lost. Who's the gun got tracked back to. So they brought him in for questioning, and they were like, your gun was used in a murder. And so Adrian was like, oh yeah, well, you know, I sold it just a couple days ago to this young dark-haired girl
named Jenni.
And he was like, I don't even really know her name. I'm not totally sure how she looks, but I know she's young and she's got dark hair. So the police were like, is this Jenni?
Is this her?
Is this her? And he was like, yep, sure is. That's her. And so supposedly she went to his dealership because he bought it. Remember, Steven bought her the Escalade.
Yeah.
What she had a Kia before, and she had a payment on the Kia, and now she had a payment for the Escalade. So she was trying to sell the Kia. And his story is that she wanted him to sell her Kia, and then she was like, do you know any way I can get a gun? Like, that was the next question. And he was like, oh yeah, actually I have one that I don't want anymore.
Okay.
Just give me $100 for it. Right? So his story is that he needed money at the time, and he went and met her at her job at Dave & Buster's. She came out. She gave him five $20 bills, 20, 40, 60, 80, 1. Yeah. Five $20 bills.
And a BJ.
And she stuck it in her apron and went back, and Dave & Buster's started working with this gun in her pocket.
She had the gun.
Time.
Okay.
The gun probably weighed more than her.
Okay.
So police were like, all right, bet. Okay, bye. Like, all they needed is to put the gun.
Yeah.
Find out how she got the gun. So they were like, oh, this just seals my case even more, which I don't see how. Well, then Vincent was like, nope, I don't like the story. Doesn't make sense. How do we know it's true? Is there any camera footage? There's not. So Vincent actually did some more digging into Adrian, and he found out that Adrian and Jenni actually knew each other, and they had exchanged thousands of text messages back and forth within the last couple of months.
Okay.
So they'd known each other for a long time. So off top, he's lying in the investigation.
Oh, because he said he didn't know her name.
He didn't even know her name. He wasn't sure what she looked like. He wasn't sure why she needed a gun. He didn't know her. So they brought him in again, and he admitted a little bit more. He's caught, and he was like, well, I just didn't want my wife to find out. Yeah, we talked. Wasn't romantic. It might have was going to go that way, but it didn't have a chance. They also discovered that Adrian had a criminal history, and he did a lot of time in prison. So he's basically like Cleotha. Mm-hmm. And he went to prison for aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon. And there was no camera footage to prove that he was actually in the parking lot at Dave & Buster's and that she met him in that parking lot. So even though all this and that he lied, he was never really considered a suspect.
I mean, there's no evidence.
Back to Jenni. Yeah, so that's where well, it's not him, still Jenni. Well, then the question of Robert Gaddy came along. He was the
one
second guy that called.
Yeah.
Well, he was the person, he was a good friend of Steve since college. And he was kind of like the acting bodyguard. So he would be the muscle. Mm-hmm. Him and Steve went everywhere together. He was just part of the entourage. They were like thick as thieves. Gaddy also opened up the restaurant Gridiron 9, was helping Steve with that part. They were going into business together, I guess.
Okay.
But Steve was funding everything. And so Steve trusted him. And so that's why he was like letting him be his partner, right? But it was questioned if they were so close, like everybody had thought they were, how come Robert wasn't one that spoke at the funeral? And how come he wasn't even a pallbearer at the funeral? And then how come after the funeral, Steve McNair's brother confronted Gaddy and asked him if he had something to do with Stephen's murder? Gaddy responded with, no, I didn't, but I think I know who did.
Okay.
And then he left. But Gaddy never came forward with any of his suspicions.
Hey, Gadfly.
And so he was like a big lineman. Like he was like 6'5". He was like 300-something pounds, and he was like muscled up. They said that now if you look at him, he's like scrawny. So they wondered, like, does he know something, and the stress of him knowing it has messed with him? Or it's cocaine.
It's always the simplest reason, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So they also found out that Gaddy and Steve had a big falling out right before the murders. Turns out that Gaddy came to Steve with a deal, another investment. He wanted to open up another restaurant, but he wanted Steve to front the money on it. Well, Steve was like, nope, I want to focus on this one. Let's see how this goes. So he refused it. And then later on, Gaddy tricked him into signing a check for $13,000. And it came out that he had stole that $13,000 from him. He told Steve it was for equipment for the apartment, but he really stole it, cashed it, and used it for whatever.
Oh my gosh.
He was furious. Steve was furious, furious enough to where he threatened to shoot Gaddy in his knees to bring him down on his level so he can whoop his ass. Because he was so big, I guess.
Oh my.
When police asked Gaddy about this,
situation, confrontation.
Yeah.
Just hit your mic.
And their relationship, he was shunned it off and was like, it's not a big deal. We have our issues. We always get back.
Which,
cool
I mean,
again. That's
fair.
friendship.
Yeah.
And so, and then it came out that Robert Gaddy and Adrian Gillian did a lot of communicating before the murders. And so this Vincent Cook guy was like, could they have done something to plan this and rob him? But there's just not enough evidence to say Gaddy or Gillian could have been involved. So then you move on. There's another guy, and his name is Keith, and this was Jenni's boyfriend. high school boyfriend. They dated in high school. They lived in Florida and they moved to Nashville together. They were going to live this life. Keith was going to become this white boy rapper, the next Eminem, and he needed Nashville to help him get there.
Okay. Nashville?
But they ended up breaking up, but she would always go back. Like, she'd always go back. And so it's kind of back and forth, and they were talking about reconnecting. Until he found out that she was actually with Steve McNair, and he didn't like this very much. So a song came out that Keith had put out right after the killing. And here are the lyrics, because this was a little sus. I don't know how to rap. I'm just going to say them. If you ever do it again, I'm not, because the lyrics was about a cheating couple. Okay. If you ever do it again, I'm not rapping. I'm getting a clip and clapping. I'm not laughing. They are wrapping you up for your little trip to the morgue while I'm preparing my little trip to the shore. Don't ignore me. I'm not lying. I could be more honest. If you ever do it again, you'll die. I promise.
Okay, Eminem.
So they were like, this sounds like he's real pissed at
I mean, they're going off a song.
Yeah. So they question him.
Man, they are really trying to find a different, like...
This is Vincent. Vincent, like, just does not believe that Jenni
Vincent
did it.
is a little autistic.
Does not believe that he did it.
Come on now.
And so he's, like, grasping at any little
thing.
So when they questioned him, Keith was like, their lyrics.
Right.
It's song.
I mean, I'm on Keith's side here.
Yeah. And plus, Keith had an alibi. He worked at some random, I think, a restaurant job. His time clock had him clocked in.
Was he a knight at medieval nights or medieval times? Yeah, he was a knight. I knew it.
It was, I don't even think it was that nice, but he was clocked in and his coworker vouched for him. So crossed off the list. Then more rumors came out about Steve McNair's death. I told you that Jenni had GSR on her left hand, but her gunshot was on her right temple. So, like, how can you really do that? Yeah.
I mean, not comfortably.
Not comfortably.
And females typically don't shoot themselves.
Exactly.
I mean,
they count for, like, I think it was like 4% of the female
females
suicides.
do what, poison or like drug. I would think drug yourself.
Something clean and easy, doesn't leave a mess.
Yeah.
And
I mean, obviously you can hold the gun. Oh, if the residue is on this, I don't know.
Residue on the left, gunshot on her right temple. And then the gunshot was on, I don't remember what temple it was.
I mean,
Stephen.
it doesn't, that's confusing.
It's not impossible. It's just not natural.
Yeah, it's like with Ellen Greenberg with the stabs in her back and the little tiny stabs. It's like, you're going to stab yourself over and over and over and over in the back.
That's how you're going to choose to
and
kill
then
yourself?
You're going to stab yourself in a giant stab in your chest?
Yeah. Not logical. Doesn't make sense.
No. And that's so painful.
So the family had been asking for crime scene pics because they don't believe it was Jenni. They want to know more about the crime scene.
Fair.
And Vincent has been wanting to know more. Well, then it came out that Steve wasn't only shot 3 times, that actually his penis had been cut off and stuffed into his mouth.
What? Wait. Penis is cut off and put in his mouth?
Stuffed in his mouth. And Vincent Cook, who was the investigator, validated this and said he read it in the report.
Why are we just not hearing about this?
But later on, because they hid it. They hid it from the crime scene. They hid it from everything. I don't know. Because that made me think, oh, maybe it is a woman.
Maybe she walked in on him and he was doing gay stuff.
So where's the other guy?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it as I talk. With Gadfly or whatever his name is.
Gaddy.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh no, homegirl walks in. He shoots her.
Oh.
And then McNair is like, I can't believe you did that. And he's like, and then he shoots McNair. And then he's like, but I don't know how the penis got cut off. Unless he was trying to like, why did he cut it off and put his mouth? There had to have been something gay going on. I mean, that's what I think.
Okay.
Is there a verdict? Am I right?
No, I mean I didn't go there, and I usually go real.
I know.
Too.
I try to go as far
far
out in left field.
So, one guy said, who supposedly saw the paperwork, said that this was validated, but when they talked to the coroner, that the coroner says his penis was intact. So we really don't know. We don't know if this is like, if it's hearsay. They don't know if it's rumor. Like, they don't know. To me, when I heard that, I was like, oh, it's got to be a woman. It's going to be a woman that's real pissed at him. What?
Like Lorena Bobbitt.
What woman
up in here
in his life is probably the most pissed at him?
I would think Jenni.
His wife.
Michelle doesn't care. She's over it. She's not even involved. She's
How
like,
do you know?
I've been talking to her.
That's where my mind went.
No, she's already got herself a man. She's just like getting his paycheck.
You think? Okay, let's go because that's where we're going next.
I just think they were doing gay stuff and somebody got mad and she walked in and shots were fired and then penis in the mouth.
They just shredded your application to the FBI. Shredded. So it also came out that the bullet wounds resembled what a professional hit would look like, because it was like here, and the finisher here. So chest, finisher here, perfect, clean. They were done over like 3 feet distance, where the police said that she was sitting on his lap when she shot him. So if the trajectory was from over 3 feet, then their story doesn't make sense. There's even a name for this professional hit style, and I can't remember the name. I'm going to call it the Liam Neeson.
Why don't you call it the Missy Beaver? Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened there.
The Liam Neeson. And so then they were like, whatchamacallit, Jenni would not know how to do a Liam Neeson. She didn't even know how to shoot a gun. So could this be a hit, a professional hit? And then that leads me to the last suspect, who I think should have been the first suspect, because it is in any other case like this. And that's the spouse.
The spouse. Okay.
The most important suspect, I think.
Yeah.
So Steve's wife, now widow, Michelle. It came out that Steve had just changed his will. Okay? And Michelle got a glimpse of this will. He drafted it a couple times. Remember, he had been asking for a divorce, changed his will.
Oh, yeah. She never would give him a divorce.
She never gave him a divorce. And he died before he ever officially signed the will.
Yeah,
and
before
had
it was
whatever.
officially submitted or whatever.
And people still have not seen this will because Michelle was seen on his computer. But he said that his will had everyone taken care of, that in the event something happened, everybody would be taken care of. Like his mom,
Steve and
kids,
Tyler and Taylor and Trent.
Tyler and Trent and Michelle, but also his mom.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody really saw it but his wife. And it also turns out that she wouldn't get him a divorce because she signed a prenup. And that prenup,
she wanted that money,
said that if they got a divorce, she would get one lump sum of $300,000, the house, and child support payments. So I would be like,
versus
bet.
What was she getting then before that?
That seems like a lot, but not when he's worth, at this time, $30 million. So she's like $300,000, $30 million.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, that doesn't seem like it's a correct amount.
Well, and they did this in before.
Yeah, you need to redo that based on how much the
She
person's
should have
worth
been like,
or is
let's
making.
edit this. Yeah. Which child support would go by what he's worth and what he's making.
Yeah.
So I would still think you would make the difference up in child support. I don't know. It wouldn't be $26 million, but that money's not going to last anyways.
Mm-mm.
So Vincent thought she should have been questioned about Steve's death, but the police never questioned her. She is actually the one who had the most to gain from his death, because in his death and without a will, everything goes to wife and kids, his whole estate. And so that's what happened.
Ruh-roh.
So people are like
mean,
putting things together. They're like, okay.
I'm not mad at Michelle.
They're like, okay, the marriage is rocky. He constantly cheated. He had a stabbing cabin. He would even pick fights with her just so he can leave and go to his stabbing cabin. And she didn't want it. She wanted a divorce, but she wouldn't give it to him. Is this a motive enough to kill? He was, if that's not enough, let me tell you this.
Okay.
So Stephen was spending a lot of money on his side pieces.
Mm-hmm.
He was paying rent for one. He was going out and buying them things, taking on vacation. And supposedly they did a big business deal and recently lost millions. So that $30 million was slowly like going down.
Of course.
And Michelle told a good friend named Doc Simpson, who was like Steve's mentor, that their CPA told them that they needed to make some changes soon or their money wouldn't last much longer.
Okay.
So Doc Simpson, who has been with Steve this whole time, was like, Steve wasn't real extravagant. And when he did buy, he paid cash. So like mom's house, paid cash. His house, paid cash. Cars, paid cash. So he had no debt. And he had millions. So where would and then what he did buy wouldn't even put a dent in the money that he's had, like all the contracts that he would sign. So where was that money? So that raised a red flag to Doc. So Doc talked to Steve before Steve died and said, you should have your money audited. Because if this is true, somebody could be stealing from you. There's no way you should have this many $1 million when you've only bought this. Like, it just doesn't add up.
Oh.
So Steve was like, maybe I need to. And then he did. And the last thing that they know is that he was pissed because he found out that somebody was stealing from him.
Oh, no.
He just did not know who.
It was Gadfly.
Was it Gadfly? Was Gadfly and Michelle having an affair? I thought about that too.
I love how you changed his name with me to Gadfly because I keep forgetting it.
So the last thing with Michelle is let's talk about 4th of July.
I just have to look and see what she looks like. Don't be mad.
Okay. She's talking about the murder or the day of the murders, which was 4th of July.
Okay.
For the past 10 years, Stephen and his family would spend the week of 4th of July at the ranch in Mississippi. They were never in Nashville. It's just what he did. That was their tradition. They'd have a big party. Well, they were there like earlier that week. But for some reason, Michelle demanded they go back to Nashville. Steve didn't want to go. The boys didn't want to go, but she demanded. And so he finally was like, okay, fine, let's go. We're going to go. So that's why he was not in Mississippi on 4th of July. So people around who found this out were like, why does she want Steve back in Nashville so bad? And she knew because he was pissed at her because he didn't want to leave. So when they got home to their house, where did he go? To his condo.
Oh,
so
no.
So then they're like, did she have this planned? Did she know that something was going to happen? Is she making sure he was at the right place at the right time? So now it's time to divide up the estate. And since there's no will and he died and they didn't get a divorce, it goes to Michelle and his 4 sons, not Mama Lucille. And that is the most important person in Steve's life. So this means Michelle gets to make Lucille sell that 600-acre ranch and divide that money by 5. The kids' stuff put in a trust. Yes, so they go back and forth because Mama Lucille was like, this is my house. My sons bought it for me, said I could live here forever. Michelle was like, sorry, you got to go, because they'd all have to agree to keep up the ranch, which was expensive. Just imagine how much it costs.
Okay, yeah. So it's not like she's
logical.
Just like, oh, bye.
Yeah.
You're kicking out of your house. She's like legit, like, this is
We
not
have to be smart.
affordable.
Yeah. So a lot of
Get
people
over
made
it.
her
like,
the
you lived your best life, but now you got to go back to your trailer.
or
whatever.
wherever. Which I think she's still, like, Steve gave her good money, so I think it still ended up getting a house. But she had to get off her ranch. People made Michelle look like the bad person for this. And the fact that Lucille had to leave. And the fact that Michelle did not communicate with other Steves. So she, made sure that they got their part, like in a trust, because they were younger. But after their dad died, her husband, she just
those weren't
done.
her kids.
No, those were her stepkids from 97 to 2009.
Yeah.
They lived with them for a period of time.
2009.
Yeah, they were married for however many years that is. What is that, 12 years? So they were your kids for 12 years.
How old were they when they were the kids, though? Were they
I
just
don't know.
like younger?
Yeah.
I mean,
they were older than her kids. And so their feelings ended up being hurt because they were just like, what did we do? So let me go.
Yeah.
So this all happened. Lucille, Steve's mom, is thinking, I don't think Jenni did it either. And she wanted the case reopened. So she hires Vincent, and they go through all this stuff.
Vincent.
And at this time, there's a podcast being done. It's called The Fall of a Titan. And it's just a long series. I listened to it. It's a long series podcast done by a journalist. And she had been working with Vincent for years, trying to get the truth, trying to get crime scene photos, trying to get the police to hear them out, trying to get them to at least believe that it could be another scenario. And then Fall of the Titan came out. Michelle kicked her out, and then she didn't want to be a part of the podcast. She declined to be a part of it. Well, they later said that Michelle told her that if she wanted to have a relationship with her grandsons, she would leave it alone.
Michelle told who?
Grandma.
Oh,
Lucille.
Okay.
And so Lucille was like, I want to see my grandsons, and I don't want to cause no trouble. So I don't want to be a part of it, and I'm sorry, which I would want to be with my grandsons too, right? It's the only thing I have left of my son. So that's kind of where it is. The Vincent Cook brought a bunch of theories to the grand jury, to the investigators, to all this evidence and all these things that really gave me a reasonable doubt. When before I went through all this, I just thought Jenni Kazemi.
Jenni from the block.
Jenni Kazemi.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, could there be an alternative story? September 15th of 2019, Stephen McNair's Tennessee Titan jersey was retired, along with his good friend and former teammate, Eddie George, who I got to meet when I was in Tennessee, and Michelle and her kids, Trenton and Tyler, attended the ceremony on the field wearing his jerseys. Gosh. But where were Steve Jr. and Steve Jr.? Steve Jr. Jr.
Oh my gosh, did I remember hearing about this story?
She didn't tell them about it.
Yes. And then she came back and said that she did, and they didn't respond or something.
That day. She told them like that day, and they were like 400 miles away. So they were like, well, great.
This must have been this was recent.
This is in 2019 or 2020.
I feel like I remember hearing, yes.
Yeah, I never heard it till just now when I was looking at it.
Yeah.
So they were heartbroken and kind of angry because they said Michelle did not let them know, so they weren't included.
What if she really hates them?
I don't know. And then they said that they have been shunned from their younger brothers, so they're not allowed to have a relationship with their younger brothers, and they've just been kind of shunned from their father's legacy because it kind of, when anything happened or where the former players came,
everything was going.
It would go to them, Trent, Tyler, and Michelle, and Steve Jr. and Steve Jr. Jr. didn't get nothing.
Steve Jr. Well, it's probably because they're damn named Steve and Steve. Two Steves.
They're the first ones.
Well, don't name your kid Steve and Steve.
Well, there's that. I don't know. Maybe she has reached out. I don't see how anybody could be that ugly, but I don't know. I will say that I had to look up, to see if Michelle has ever, responded to any of this or ever, spoke out, or because she's been real quiet. Did she ever try to defend herself? And there was one article that was done on ESPN called A Family Left Behind, and she said that she did not say this, but I think she was saying this through the article, is that Steve chose to leave Mississippi on that 4th of July week on his own, that they were having a great week. He took the boys fishing. They cleaned the fish. They cooked the fish. He washed his truck. He took a nap on the couch, and then his phone rang. And he told her that the alarm was going off at the restaurant in Tennessee and he had need to go take care of it. She thinks she now knows that it was probably Kazemi or somebody else.
I mean, these players just come up with the
that quick.
That quick.
And not players, anybody.
Yeah, not players, but these
players.
Con artists.
Oh, you're talking about players,
Playa.
Playas,
yeah,
okay, not players.
Con artists,
Gotcha.
players dirty chads, just you can. That's
liar will be a liar.
Bad when you can, at the drop of a hat, come up with the quickest lie.
Yeah,
and then
and
who are you to question? Because what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. So she said he needed to go take care of it. She said that she knows now it's probably Jenni, and that he went to go kiss the boys goodbye. And Tyler and Trent said, please don't go, don't go. And he told them that he loved them and that he kissed her and told her that he loves her too, and said, I'll be back in a little while, and just never came back. So maybe that was her way of responding to...
I don't think she did anything.
I think that was her way of responding to, no, I didn't make his ass go back to Tennessee to get shot up. She says
she had to know what he was.
Yeah. And that's the thing, she's playing dumb. She's playing dumb, and she's trying to act like she didn't really know about Jenni.
Maybe she was like me and just kind of was like, okay, well, but if you're, I don't know. I mean, when I found out that Dirty Chad was staying nights in hotels, and I saw the transactions on my debit card for the damn freaking Holiday Inn Express. And he said he had to go there because he was having withdrawals, and he didn't want me to see him having withdrawals. Little tidbits come out every episode.
It sparks a memory. And so you were like, oh, okay.
I was just like, are you serious? What? Do I need to come there? What am I? And he's like, no, I just don't want you to see. It's a horrible thing to see. And I was like,
when really he was probably having a cocaine party.
And because he was saying he had withdrawals from his sleeping from his blood pressure medicine, so I still didn't know it was drugs. I was like, what?
She always says, stay aware.
Y'all don't even listen to anything I say. Don't even listen to me.
She also said that she did not choose to move her mom in, that when her mom's husband died, Steve called up her mom and said, move here, you should not be alone. So people made it seem like her marriage was already on the rocks, that she moved her mom in. That was the biggest mistake. She said that it was Steve's idea. That's the type of person he was.
Oh, okay.
Right now, she is never remarried. She dates here and there. She went and got her nursing license. She's working. She loves taking care of people, and she says she wants to become a foster parent. I was like, oh, she went too far. Who wants to do that?
I know a lot of people.
So all 4 kids, they go to college in different areas. None of them played college football. One son was really, really good at football and had potential to be a great quarterback, but he ended up saying, there's no point. I can never be as good as my dad.
Who cares? Just go play and make some money, bro.
He just wanted his dad to be the legacy.
Oh, no. That's the whole point of having an athletic, professional football player dad.
One of them was a basketball player, and one of them danced in college, and I don't know what the other 2 did.
Okay, I'm going to need somebody to have been an athlete out of this, because then, if not, then my aspirations and my goals and dreams are shot.
Well, and
I only have a few more years before they're going to come out, dyslexic and autistic and everything else, because I'm getting real old.
Well, I don't know. She did say that they
facts.
watched him hurting 6 days a week, but would play his butt off on Sundays. And would be because his body be so hurting. So she also thinks that kind of deterred them, because they played basketball. They danced, and it happens with a lot of athletes' kids, because they see the other side of it that we don't see. We just see the fame and the fortune.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's really all I see, anyways.
Maybe that's all that matters.
I mean, and some injuries here and there. Oh my gosh, great story. I didn't know it. I mean, I kind of I knew it, but I didn't really know it.
Do you have a reasonable doubt?
No.
What if I told you Jenni's parents were not killed by murder-suicide?
I don't even, that wouldn't make a difference.
It wouldn't make a difference.
No.
What if I told you Jenni was laughing at her when she was being arrested and talking to the cop, and it was on video, and she's flirting? It wasn't a rock bottom.
I would have probably done the same. Yeah. No.
What if I told you?
But the guy who sold her the gun, what's up with that?
What if it didn't happen?
What do you mean? Where else did the gun come from? Why did they not trace it?
I think it was him and Gaddy.
Who's him?
The gun guy, Gillian,
and
Gaddy. And I think that's why it's missing. I think.
Oh, the gun is missing.
No, that's why the money is missing, the jewelry's missing, and the safe is missing, because
I feel like that has nothing to do with
robbing him because they thought he was in Mississippi.
Oh.
And he ended up being there, ended up being a fight, and
she was giving him a BJ. There's got to be a BJ somewhere in this story.
There's a blowjob. That's what made me think it could have been the wife. If that's true, it's the wife or one of the girls.
Yeah, but she was not even close to being in that area. And
how do we know? They never checked her alibi. They never even questioned her.
Well, this case is botched.
It is.
I'm done. Stay aware. Stay alive, BGTF.
I could get obsessed, and I'll think about it all night, and I'll think of every scenarios until the next story comes.
I know.
Oh, I don't know. Y'all guys, you tell me what you think. Is it Jenni? Is it somebody else? I don't know. Steve McNair was a great football player. That's all I know. He was one of my faves. That is it. If you're not registered for the live show, go.
Right now, do it.
Be jealous of our drinks that we are drinking out of. And we are done.
Yay!
Done,
good
done,
job.
done. Do you know what you're doing next week?
Nope.
Okay, me either. You know what you're doing for the live show yet?
Nope.
Me, kinda, maybe.
But I have definitely been researching, and I want to find something that sticks out, and that's like,
Yeah.
It
has to inspire you. That's what
I know.
I'm trying to be inspired. Can you send me some stories so I can be inspired?
Yes.
All right, y'all. We will see y'all next Tuesday. Turn up Tuesday.
Did you just say see you next Tuesday?
Well,
You
listen
called
to
us
you.
a cunt. You called me cunt?
See you next Tuesday.
That's
Never heard of
C-U-N-T.
that.
Oh, are you not?
No. Are we in 8th grade?
No.
Y'all, don't forget to
Stay aware.
stay alive.
And always be DTF down to find the murder.
Like Vincent Cook was. He was just unsuccessful, and we still don't know who the murderer was.
Stay sipping.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.